Radio Energy, broadcasting to you live. Go to radioenerg.net.
And we're going to start off, unfortunately, with Scotland's defeat to England in the World Cup Qualifiers at Wembley. It was a 3-0 defeat, goals by Daniel Sturridge, Adam Lallana and Gary Cahill, all headers. I actually thought Scotland played all right in the game, but, they got beat 3-0. It's not the result we wanted. David, what were your thoughts on the game?
Yeah, I think it was just down to a matter of poor defending when it mattered. Scotland, as you said, conceded from three headers that you probably could argue that they maybe shouldn't have conceded from. We all know that England have a really strong team, and that it was going to be a tough game going into the match, and nevertheless Scotland played well. As you said, made a lot of changes, start Lee Griffiths, which even though it did make an impact, was the right decision to start him in a game like that, and England got the better of the game, better of the chances, even though some were criticising the likes of John Stones defending the match. And it's going to be tough for Strachan go from here. A lot of pressure was on him before the game, even more pressure is on him now, and he's got to come out of this, and whether that's him leaving the managerial role of the Scotland team or him bringing it back and maybe get a slim chance of hope of qualifying for the World Cup, well, that's down to the Scottish FA and Strachan himself.
Bryce, David touched upon there the fact that Strachan made quite a lot of changes going into the game. I think he made 8 changes in total. The likes of the goalkeeper, Craig Gordon, he came in, the fullbacks, Anya and Lee Wallace. Scott Brown, obviously we talked about, he came back in. And then obviously the big one was Lee Griffiths up front. What did you think about the team selection going into the game?
Well, I thought it was a kind of a really positive selection. I said last week that I wanted to see Gordon Strachan do something different. I wanted them to see kind of go really at it, to go at England, and that's kind of what they did. So initially I was quite happy to see that. Lee Griffiths, I thought, had a really good work rate throughout the game. He was constantly kind of chasing and harassing the English defence into kind of making mistakes. There was kind of the one play where he could have played Snodgrass in, and that could have potentially been a goal, but apart from that, there wasn't a lot that he did wrong. I mean, he had a couple of pot shots, but you want to see players go for it sometimes rather than just pass it around the box until you lose possession. Yeah,
David, what did you think about the selection?
I think it was a good team, a strong team at that, a team that should be playing from the start of qualification, with the likes of Griffiths, who maybe not be getting as much game time this season, but past seasons that he has been getting game time. The whole situation with the goalkeeper, deciding who's starting or not, both keepers get game time for the country, and yet it is right to experiment to see who's the better keeper, but maybe that should be done in a friendly, not in a qualification match where it matters. And Scotland got the poor half, the poor end of the stick in this result, but who says we can't get a result maybe when we take England at home, but it's going to be a lot better than the performance we put at Wembley. It was not a bad performance, but it's not good enough when you need those points to qualify for this tournament.
Yeah, I was quite a big fan of the team selection, actually. I was quite excited, walking to the pub to watch the game because it was a bold selection. I was quite excited to see it. And, generally I thought Scotland started off all right the first sort of 20-25 minutes, but crucially it's England that take the first chance of the game, and that was Daniel Sturridge. And
it was just about their first chance of the game.
Yeah, exactly.
As well.
Scotland had actually had the better of the play going into that, and it's important not to forget that.
And I think with Scotland as well, Scotland do have good players, don't get me wrong, but it's not really the kind of world class you see in see the England team or teams like Spain or Belgium. We don't really have those players who play for these big clubs in England or in Spain or Germany. So it's going to be tough for us in any game going in, because there's such a high expectation for the other side and expectation that we have to meet for ourselves as well for the Scotland players. But it's always going to be like an underdog job at the moment with the Scotland squad, sorry. But in a game like this where you've lost the last game and you drew the game before that, when you should have got, say, 4 points instead of 1, you had to come to Wembley and you had to win, and Scotland didn't do that.
Yeah, that's what I think it comes down to, really, the fact that individually England are by far the better team. And I think that's quite a sobering thought for us now, that England are that far ahead of us in terms of individuals. And as a team, Scotland actually, I thought, played quite well over the 90. And as a team, England didn't. But because they have Sturridge, Lallana, those sorts of players, they are able to win a game like this.
I think Scotland...
And they're able to do this every single campaign, every single qualifying campaign. They are able to beat the teams that they should beat. They're able to qualify comfortably every single campaign. But when it gets to a major tournament,
Stage right.
Yeah, they can't perform as a team. But it means that they can beat Scotland.
I think as well with this game, this fixture, as you've said before, it's one of the longest international rivalries that has been. But I feel Scotland take it more seriously than the English players in the squad. I think they see more a bit of passion, a bit of rivalry in it than the English players. And maybe a lot of those English players, I feel that just treat it as another game, another qualifier. Where Scotland squad and Strachan himself sees it a lot more than that, and that's what we had coming into the game. But at the end of it, it wasn't enough.
I think you could also see kind of club form for some players going into the match as well. Players like Lallana and Henderson, Sturridge, all kind of going well with Liverpool at the moment. Bringing that into the England squad, just even a wee bit of confidence can make the difference for you.
And even with like the England squad, they always, as you said, they maybe not be as a collective as a team, but they always have these subgroups of players. Say the likes of even players on the bench, say the likes of Jesse Lingard and Marcus Rashford. They've got wee buddy and friendship. Then you've got the Liverpool trio, as you mentioned, likes of maybe, I know Dele Alli was injured for the game, but Dele Alli and Eric Dyer, and I could just Sterling and John Stones. Maybe that's a kind of new friendships spurring. But saying all that, they're all familiar with each other. They've all familiar with each other. Whereas the Scotland squad, I don't think they're as much. They've got players from here, there, and everywhere, from Scottish leagues, from English leagues. You've got players coming from Germany, and they're not really familiar with each other as much as, say, the England team are. When they play, Scotland play better as a team, but England, I think, are more familiar with themselves. They may not be as team as a collective, as I said, but they've got wee subgroups that they get through. They get across the line in these matches.
Right, and it leaves the table, it leaves Group F looking like this. England are on top with 10 points. All 6 teams have played 4 games. England are on top with 10. Slovenia are second with 8 points. Slovakia behind with 6 points. Lithuania are in 4th with 5 points ahead of Scotland, who are 5th, second bottom with only 4 points from 4 games. And then Malta are bottom of the table, having lost every game. Scotland, 3 of their 4 games have been away from home. Their next 2 games in the group, which aren't until, I think, March and June respectively, so it's a long time now between games. We'll discuss what the FA are going to do in between those games. Their next 2 home games are going to be, I think, Slovenia, and then England, which will be in June. So it's a big gap from November to March. That's 4 months.
Yeah, I think the committee have got a lot of time to kind of process these last 6 games and decide where to go from there. I think even likes of Lee Griffiths stepping forward and said that Gordon Strachan shouldn't be sacked and it won't resolve any problems. But
I think it's safe to say that Strachan is going to be manager for the March game.
Yeah.
If he's still manager now. I mean, We're talking now on a Tuesday.
A few days after, yeah.
It's a few days after. If they were going to take action, they would have done by now. So.
I think, action, as you said, action would have been taken, but I think the committee of the FA will meet with Strachan, and I think line will be set that these next games have to be won, and I think that was a requirement that would have been there in the past if they won those past couple of games. But now, after these results, Scotland themselves are hoping that teams drop points and we benefit from it. And these next 2 games, they'll be saying themselves, Strachan needs to win them, and if not, then it looks like he's out the door.
What do you think he does then, Bryce, going into the next 2 games?
I want to see him do the same. The next game you said, was it against Slovenia? Slovenia are not a world-class side. They're a good side, as shown by the fact that they held kind of England to a 0-0 draw. So they're a good team, but we can compete with good teams, I think. I want to see, us do something to really challenge them, and I think that we have a good shot of that.
Would you go bold again?
I would. I want to see them go bold again. I think we were kind of unlucky for it not to work this time. Shore up the defence a wee bit, and just I really want to see kind of strikers like Lee Griffiths really kind of hassling the opposition defence.
I think what we've seen with England in the Euros over the summer, that they were caught out by Iceland, who played attacking football.
No, they didn't.
On counter-attacking football. I mean,
they were very deep.
Yeah, but
incredibly deep.
But they caught them on the counter.
Okay.
Whereas England are maybe not as prepared for that. They like to have a lot of the ball, play like a flowing game rather than a quick game as such. If Scotland could play a counter-attacking game that they attempted against England but improve on it, then I am fully confident that they might be able to get a result.
If Grant Hanley can direct corners, then we have a chance. They always seem to go from, and he always seems to mess up.
I mean, that's one of the chances that stands out. That Grant Hanley header where he was miles open and he headed it over the bar. And then you touched on it earlier, that Griffiths chance when he could have slipped in Robert Snodgrass.
Could have been a different game very easily.
Even after half time, actually, I think our best spell was actually the 5 minutes after the half time, where James Forrest has a shot that goes wide, and is it Forrest again that has a shot blocked in the line?
Forrest was looking quite lively throughout the match, actually.
Okay, and there was a shot blocked in the line, but then we have that spell of 5 minutes, and then England go down the other end. Lallana scores after 50 minutes. And
it's always that kind of idea of what if we got a goal, what if we got an equaliser, but at the end of the day, they didn't. And it's just, they need to do more, Scotland. And we say time and time again, Scotland just need to do more. They just need to get over the line that like England do with their games. They just need to get over the line, and then once they've done that, I think Strachan and the squad itself can take it from there.
Yeah, and talking about, I guess we'll quickly discuss England. When we play them in June, do you expect Gareth Southgate to be England manager? Because he's currently got the job on a temporary basis. The FA are going to look at his contracts, I think, after this block of games. England will have played Spain by the time you're listening to this. They play Spain tonight in our alternative reality on a Tuesday when we're pre-recording. So, going back to the question, do you think Southgate will be England manager by the time the two sides play each other again?
Yeah, I do think he's got a good chance. I mean, he's not lost a game yet, has he?
No.
As England manager. So, I mean, if that's anything to go by, I don't see why you shouldn't at least give him till the end of these qualifiers, and then maybe think about something else. But if not, he's done an alright job so far.
I'd give him to summer. I think they won't let him go now. It's difficult in this kind of environment to get a manager halfway through a football season, if not, was it February, March time? It's too difficult. There's not that quality about. I think a lot of the managers that England will be looking at, maybe if it's homegrown managers, which probably they're more suited want to pursue, or if it's a foreign manager, they won't go this early. They'll wait till summer, and if that's given just an extension for Southgate's contract until June after they play Scotland, then that might be the situation. But I'm not so sure, as Bryce said, about giving to them the qualifiers, because if he gives the qualifiers then and they do qualify,
he'd have to do the World Cup.
Then he has to do the World Cup, because it is unfair and completely mind-boggling if you have a manager to take him to a tournament and then that said manager doesn't manage the team. It's just like a recipe for disaster. So I think first off he'll get it till summer, and then I think they'll decide from there if they're going to keep him on or if they're getting someone fresh in.
Yep, and I'm just reading here that Scotland did indeed concede from all 3 of England's shots on target. So, maybe 3
A lot of headers as well.
all the headers, I know, and perhaps 3-0 did flatter them, but I don't think we can dispute the result too much.
No.
Any other positives from the game, boys? The Tartan Army looked like they had a good time down in the capital.
Fans are always great. I think. Yeah.
They always have a good time, and let's just hope that they get the major tournament that they deserve at some point.
Yes.
I think my highlight was the Scotland fans standing outside Iceland doing the Icelandic clap.
Yeah, that was good. That was good.
Saw that pop on my Facebook feed, and I was...
Yeah, social media was particularly strong in the build-up to the game. If anything, that was probably the best part of the day.
Get in touch. Go on. Tweet at Radio ENRG. Email radioenrg@gmail.com.